My bad, guys. My phone went off there for a second. But where did I leave off here? Now, yeah, man, it's a culture that you know is seemingly inviting, is seemingly like inclusive, but it has this poison attached to it. It has this evil aura around it, and I just feel like this isn't my race, but I can't say it's not my culture in the sense that I became acclimated to the cultural concepts and the cultural behaviors surrounding it based on just adopting the mindsets, based on adopting the ways of behaving and the way of talking, etc. So in a sense, yeah, it's not my place to talk about it. If we're talking about hip hop as black culture foundationally, and by and large, as far as who are the adherents, who are the people who follow it, it's mostly black people, right? In a sense, it's mostly black people. I think, like, I'm sure there's millions, and it's all other races as well, which is part of its inclusivity, right? But if we're talking about like who runs it, right? Like who pushes it forward, it's got to be black people, right? So if we're talking about who's going to take responsibility for it, you have to say it's black people, because if you claim it, if you say this is our house, like Lord Jamar talking about the house of hip hop is a black house, and white people are guests in that house, okay, then take responsibility for what it produces. Take responsibility for where it's going and what it does to the community and what it does to your own people, right? If it's yours, then claim it. What I find happening is whenever anybody's called on the carpet, when it concerns hip hop, is what they do is they go, oh no, this is a result of that they deflect and they blame shift. They don't take accountability. Oh no, this is just a result of the white man's oppression, or this is a result of growing up in the hood, when probably most of the rappers didn't really grow up in the hood. Probably most of them, are just talented people who come in and are able to portray an image. I'm not saying, it's not. I mean, the hood is influenced, but, it's influenced by the hood. But what even is the hood? Why should the hood be glorified? Why should that be the marker of authenticity? Because at some point, hip hop as an entity, as a I should say organism, really, as a parasitic organism, hip hop convinced its listeners, convinced its followers that being hood was cool, that being hood was a stamp of authenticity. Oh, it's not real hip hop unless it's hood. Why? I mean, I think you got like Tyga. I remember Tyga, Tyga, that rapper Tyga. I'm pretty sure he's from like Bel Air or Van Nuys, California, somewhere where it's like really rich. I mean, he's one example. I'm not saying it's everyone, but I would say by and large, probably there's more hood rappers than not. But the point is that why is that so cool? Why is it so cool to be from the hood? Why is that the marker of authenticity? Because somehow we got convinced that it's cool to be gangster. It's cool to be thuggy. It's cool to be ratchet. We got convinced that at some point. I was watching this video the other day of this eating hot. It's called Eating Hot Chips in the Hood, with this dude who goes out to the hood, to the most gutter hood ghetto places, and he's giving these guys, he's paying people to eat the hottest chip in the world. It's funny, it's entertaining or whatever. But I'm watching this and I'm like, how did that become Because these are real hood people. These are real hood areas, like for real hood. And I'm like, that's not a healthy atmosphere. People out at like midnight buying beer, like congregating, like, congregating around like bugs to a light. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that other, other cultures don't do that. Other races don't do that. I mean, they have their version of it, right? They go out and they party, and they go out and they go to bars instead of the local 7-Eleven or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, and I'm not saying that that's any better per se. Like, what are you doing out at midnight? You're probably not up to, any good. But point is like, I'm watching this show and I'm just like, how did that become glorified? How did that become so cool? I don't understand. It's there's nothing cool about that. It's just like, it's weird. It's like, why is being hood cool? It's because they sold it to us. They packaged it. It's the same thing as like, you're a kid and you're watching cartoons and then all of a sudden this commercial comes on and there's like these kids playing this Nerf game and they're like, whoa, this little Nerf thing shoots out of this Nerf gun. That's cool. Go buy this product. And then you get all excited about it and you're like, well, this is just basic marketing. This is just basic human psychology. If you say something is cool and then like other people say it's cool, you accept it as cool and all of a sudden you think it's cool. Like, oh, okay, everybody thinks the hood is cool. I guess, but it's like the Pied Piper. You think it's cool because there's music there's trendy, catchy music surrounding it. It's the Pied Piper. It's the story of the Pied Piper. Man, these old children's books had so much wisdom in them. Even Pinocchio is a good example. Great example, of becoming the evil that you touch. If you saturate yourself around evil, you become a donkey, right? That's the story of Pinocchio. It changes who you are. The story of Pinocchio is all about maturity, transformation of, transformation of like into something positive. He wanted to become a real boy, and then he had to go through this this kind of era in his life of temptation, and then he was enslaved to it, and he became a donkey. He started to turn into a donkey, or at least the kids around him. I don't know if he was a real boy, so he didn't get that or whatever. But I'm not even sure if that's how it happened. But eventually, he came out of it. He got swallowed by a whale, and there's some biblical references there, and then he got spit out, and then he became a real boy. But it's the process of maturity and transformation. But the Pied Piper is another good one, because what does it talk about? It talks about this guy comes into a city and he starts singing this tune, and the tune is so beautiful that all the kids start dancing behind the tune, and they're following this guy because he's singing this beautiful, catchy tune. And then he leads them out of the city and he leads them into the woods, and then he slaughters them. That's the story of the Pied Piper. People probably don't even know that. They just think, oh, the Pied Piper, I've heard of that. But you gotta, I mean, I just feel like you gotta have a moral foundation to recognize this stuff. Like, it's funny because like people out in the world, they don't recognize evil. They just eat it. They just digest it. They just, oh, this is good. Let me taste this. This new rapper. Let me eat this new rap album, and it's just darkness, and they don't realize it. And it's like, at what point are you just gonna like wake up and be like, oh, wait a minute, we've been feeding on dung, right? We've been feeding on trash, and it's like, I understand. When I talk about this stuff, I understand that it's entertaining, it's interesting, it's sounds good, it gives you a like titillating feel. It's like any other addiction. It has to do something good for you, or else you wouldn't be interested in it. But what are the effects? What is the result of it? The result of most addictions is that it takes your soul eventually. It ruins your life. It corrodes your normality. It corrodes your morals. It turns you into a beast. It turns you into something that you're not. And I experienced that, listening to rap over the years of my life. I became something that I wasn't. And it was for the big, it was a trade-off, and I didn't realize it was a trade-off, but looking back, it was a trade-off. I got the benefit of hearing this cool music, and for a long time it was kind of almost like therapy for me, because I remember growing up listening to like Scarface, or like you know E40, or like I listened to some songs by I still actually like there's a song that I really like by Yuck Mouth. I mean, I could get into it, but there are songs out there that because these men have experienced deep poverty and deep pain, if their story's authentic. Nowadays it's just a gimmick, but in the 90s there was authentic struggling stories in this in rap, you know authentic stories of pain and loss, authentic stories of examples of overcoming hardships, and I was poor as hell growing up, so I could relate with that, and I was like, man, this song just really takes me away from my depression and from my current feelings of hopelessness and struggling through poverty, so I can understand. And I'm a white guy living in a nice, pretty nice city that's not, I don't have to worry about getting shot every time I go out. I don't have to worry about all the real negative elements in my environment. I didn't have those things, but I was still relating with that because I'm poor. Someone else out there's poor. Someone else out there grew up struggling like I did. Someone else out there, went through family dysfunction, went through trauma like I did, right? Um, and it's Tupac, right? Tupac, all his painful songs and what stuff that he put out, but it's a mixture. Even with Tupac's a good example because it's a mixture of that, and then you got the gangster stuff, and you got the drug stuff, and you got the pimping stuff, and you got the violence, and it's like it's just this big amalgamation. It's this big gumbo of different stuff that is, you can't help but be influenced by it. So we see this. So it's like when you promote stuff and then you become a victim of that same thing, you wonder why it happened. Like, people are wondering why these young rappers are on drugs. Why are these guys dying from drug overdoses? Why are these guys dying from gang violence? Why are these guys going to jail for doing really evil crime stuff? It's because it's what you're promoting. It's what you're around. It's here's the thing, man. It's like, you don't have to be a ghetto rapper. You don't have to be a pimp rapper. You don't have to be a gangster rapper. Look at Lupe Fiasco, or someone like Locksmith, or someone like Immortal Technique, or Talib Kweli, or Mos Def. Or, you don't have to be. It's like Nas said in that song "I Can," which is a great song, by the way. He's like, no one said you have to be gangsters. No one says you got to be thugs. Who says that? There's nothing to say that you have to act this way just because you're from the hood, or just because you struggled, or just because you like hip hop culture. There's nothing saying that. But it's like my mom used to always say, if you walk around a well long enough, eventually you're going to fall in. If you flirt and you play with death, it's going to catch up to you. If you flirt and you play with excuse me, if you flirt and you play with drugs and all this sorry, I got something stuck in my throat, all this negative elements, it's just like Puff Daddy. Like, Now, he's a little bit of a different story because he's an executive. He's not just a rapper. He's not even just a hip hop listener fan. He's an executive, so it's a little bit of a different story. But this is what's behind it, man. These are the type of people who are behind it. People like Puff Daddy, trafficking, right? Prostitution, high level extortion, high level just evil shit, man. And this is what this world, when you look up and you trace what's behind these industries, whether it's Hollywood, even the government, hip hop, when you trace what's behind these industries, it's just high level evil. These people are not what they portray themselves as. These people are not, your friendly neighborhood music executive putting out nice music for your grandma to listen to. No, man. Listen to the lyrics. What are they promoting? Right? What are they promoting? Drugs, gang violence, death, murder, crime, this evil shit. And what's the point? It's to get rich. It's to sell you poison so they can get rich. It's to get rich off of the hustle. And I like talented music. I always have. I like songs that make me feel something. That's the point of music. It's supposed to make you feel something. It's supposed to make you get into a certain type of mood, and it does. But if you're putting this, I used to listen to like 3 6 Mafia. Oh my God, so demonic. And then even the offshoots of that type of music, you go listen to that stuff. It's like Satan music, man. It's like music that, in some of their songs, they're literally praying to Satan. There is some dark shit out there. I never, I got into 3 6 Mafia, but I never really, I didn't stay there, they got some good, anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but for me, it was mostly sonically. I like the way things sounded. But then if you listen to the lyrics, it's just like poison, poison, poison. Every other verse is poison. Every other bar is poison. Selling you some bullshit. Programming your brain on some bullshit. Be hood, be thug. And now, you go to the hood and look at what it is. It's a celebrated thing to be a thug. Oh, he's got stripes in the hood. It's the dumbest thing. It's just like, why? You're promoting criminality. You're promoting death to your own community. So when are people going to stand up and say, you know what? I'm tired of making money off this crap. And I'm tired of the hypocrisy. I'm tired of exploiting my own people for personal gain. I'm tired of the death in my community. I'm tired of the poison. They gave Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, they give these people stars in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Snoop Dogg was at the Olympics. These are people who sold poison to their communities for 30 years. Who do you think the godfathers of all this are? NWA, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop Dogg. They're the godfathers. They're not. They're the most popular ones. They're not the originals. There's other people who are behind them. This, that, and third. This guy didn't get as much shine. This guy was better. This, that, and third. Yeah, I know all that. But these are the ones who the world accepted, mainstream. They accepted it eventually. Yeah, there was pushback at first. But then they were like, oh no, this is just artistic expression. The same thing with pornography. Oh, it's just artistic expression. Yeah, real artistic. You're promoting degeneracy like it's normal. You're promoting these evil, and it's blatant evil as well, which is crazy. And kids don't know any better. And who's the target market? Kids ages 10 to 21 probably is the target market of all music. not just hip hop, but all music. Who are the ones who buys the music? Who are the ones who goes to the concert? It's young people. It's kids for the most part. After you get to a certain age, you start to feel weird going to concerts. It's sad, man. And guess what else? What's the most influential time period in someone's life? When they're a teenager, when they're a kid. Ages 10 to 21 is the most influential time. Even to your mid 20s. But by that time, you're saturated. And then we wonder, like, why are our communities so disjointed? Why is there so much crime now? Why is there so much lack of love? Why is that? It's like, look at what people are ingesting. Look at what people are assimilating. Why not listen to reggae? I love reggae. Reggae is beautiful. The worst thing about reggae is I guess it's pro marijuana, and that's really about it. I don't even think they're pro any other type of drug. It's just marijuana. They just like weed. They're very simple. I like Jamaica. I think it's a beautiful country. I think they're beautiful people for the most part. I'm not saying weed is good. I'm not saying weed is healthy per se. I don't want to get into a weed talk, but it's a drug. It messes with your neurotransmitters. It messes with your perception of life. It damages you in certain ways, but it's probably the least bad drug out there. But it's still a drug. It's a narcotic. You're high. People do stupid stuff when they're high. So that's not good. But they don't promote it. It's not the same thing. For them, it's a mindset. It's a lifestyle. And it's not like, it's talked about a lot in their music, but it's not like that's the center of their music. We're talking about rap. The center of rap is all the negative elements. You have to rap about negative things, or your ego, or like how tough you are, how cool you are. There's very few rap songs out there, and I named a couple artists earlier, but even in their music, it's they have to have cool punchlines to make themselves seem amazing, and it's ego still. Talib Kweli's not that bad, but he's not. Most Def, they're pretty good. But it used to be about knowledge. It used to be, in the 80s, a lot of it was about knowledge. A lot of it was about self-awareness. A lot of it was about, anyway. It just got corrupted, man, and it's just sad. It's like, is it any surprise that these kids are dropping like flies? These rappers, these guys are on drugs. Is it any surprise? They have to be, to keep up the image. They have to be to be authentic. Otherwise, they're just fake. And it's crazy. It's just crazy to me how, like, you can't be accepted as a hip-hop artist unless you're a real thug. You can't, because it's like, oh, well, you can't rap about that if that's not what you're doing. Well, then why rap about it if it's not what you're doing? And why do those things if that's not what you would have done anyways? You're really just a rapper. You're really just somebody who wants to make money from a genre, and you want to get rich, okay, and you don't want to go work your way up the ladder, okay. You don't want to go work a 9 to 5, okay. Maybe you're not built for that. Maybe you think this, that, and the third, whatever. You don't want to do all that. You want to go out and you want to get rich, okay. But what do you got to do to get that? You got to portray a false image, and then to make that false image authentic, you got to actually start doing the things you're portraying. This is the kind of dumb influence that these kids are under. And then what does that do? That influences all the people in your camp. That influences all the people around you, all the people who are listening to your music, all the people who idolize you. Then they start to feel the same way you do, because those feelings are conveyed in the messages in your music. And then they feel like they got to go do something, because you feel like you got to go do something. And then it's just this contagious poison. So what I say is, my thing is, when is the it has to be this generation, you know, this younger generation, the millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, you know, it has to be this generation that puts their foot down and says, this is enough. This music is not healthy. That we shouldn't be listening to this music. We can't let our kids listen to this music. We can't endorse this crap in our communities. You know, when I saw, you know, like the Super Bowl with like 50 Cent and Snoop and Eminem and all these people at the Super Bowl and Dr. Dre, I'm just like, these people are sick, man. These people were hanging around Puff Daddy. These people, that's their world, that's their environment. And these people are being heralded as like some kind of musical heroes. For some reason, we ignore all the beautiful music that's out there and we focus on this trash. I guess because it sounds good, it makes you feel cool, whatever. But at what point are we just gonna, as a culture, as a nation, are we gonna say this stuff is poison? At what point are we just gonna say enough is enough? I can't listen to this crap anymore. I can't stomach it. It's not on my palate. I need something that's, you know, uplifting. I need something that's positive. I need something that is helpful. I need something that helps me grow as a person. You know, if there is such a thing out there. I mean, music is so tainted, but there has to be, or just don't even listen to music, or I mean, don't even listen to lyrics, music with lyrics, because lyrics are powerful. They create imagery, etc. Just listen to music. That's what I do a lot. I just listen to music that has no lyrics, or I'll listen to like Bob Marley or Damian Marley. I mean, that's beautiful music. They're singing about beautiful stuff, and it's got a hit. It's got a beat to it. It's hip hop ish. It's hip hop influenced. Even Distant Relatives, that album with Nas and Damian Marley, is pretty good. I mean, that's a phenomenal album. Actually, it's one of my favorites. But I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, if you're, I think it's both. I think on the one hand, people are choosing the trash, and I think on the other hand, they're pressured, or they're slowly conformed into it, because nobody can force you what to listen to, but people can coerce you what to listen to, with marketing, with cultural type of peer pressure. Like, oh, everybody else is listening to this, so why don't you listen to it? Everybody else is listening to Taylor Swift, why don't you go listen to Taylor Swift? You know, it's like that old saying, like, if everybody's jumping off a cliff, are you going to jump off the cliff? Be different, you know, put your foot down and say, well, you know what, I'm going to find something different. Even if you like it, and that's the challenge, is when you really like it. To deny something that you really like because of its poisonous effects, that's the marker of maturity. That's the marker of growth. Hey, you know what, I really like candy. I really like candy bars. I really like junk food, but I can't eat it because it's terrible for my body.